And welcome in to a blank screen. Yes, it's not you, it's me. It's not because of anything you've done on your internet side. It's actually a fault of my own. So, hey, welcome in, guys, to Milky Way Wednesday. That wasn't intended to be live, which is why I probably shouldn't expect too much from my gear to work. Let's just say it this way. Video connection that I have goes through a Elgato device, and that Elgato device was connected, showing me the screen, and when I went to go fix one angle of my camera, disconnected, said please wait, and that went on for 20 minutes. And so I gave up. I realized I don't want to be late on a live I wasn't planning on being, and then I ended up being late anyway as it all got connected. But Kathy Hanahan's still awake. Don't put me to sleep, Ron. Kathy just went to Faroe Islands with me, and man, oh man, Faroe Islands is and was fantastic. But I have never had more jet lag coming this direction that I've had this last time than any other time in my life. Usually I'm bad on the way there, heading towards the east and heading west. I'm fine, but boy oh boy, I'm feeling it, and I think that Kathy is too when she says I'm still awake at 9 o'clock her time. So welcome in, guys. I'm Aaron King with Photog Adventures, and I believe this will play it right here. Black screen, no video. Hopefully I'm not yelling too much in your mic right now, in your headset right now, but I'm Aaron King with Photog Adventures, and today's video is coming out tomorrow, the one that I've been working on and editing. That guy has been, it's going to be good. It's going to be fun. You guys are going to see the highlights from it right now, but it's going to be a good high-quality video that I want to put out on YouTube that's going to be better, well, especially better than this live stream, as how it's gone so far. So let's go ahead and get rolling into this next segment. Rhonda's here too. Just go live, Aaron, low. Rhonda was with me too out there with Faroe Islands. So Rhonda and Kathy joined. And sorry, Rhonda, I didn't see your message until now. But yeah, Faroe Islands was fantastic. Rhonda has some cool images of it. We even captured the Milky Way from the Faroe Islands. Now, Rhonda, unfortunately, it wasn't the Milky Way core. If you see my screen right here, this is how much we saw right there. That and over on the horizon. But this section, the core, was below our visible horizon, plus with the hill and everything that was there. So let me get my reflector up for my iPad so I can show you guys my 5 tips, as well as show you guys Rhonda's image while I'm getting that up and rolling. So, reflector is going. Let me go ahead and screen mirror over, and Aaron's iMac. Boom. So here we are. We're connecting. 9013 is the code today to connect, and soon you will see my iPad. All right. Awesome. So we're going to be going through my 5 favorite tips, and my 5 favorite tips involve planes, balance, weight on left, shape, top to bottom, framing. So I am not going to show it to you in this small window. I can show it to you large, but first let's go ahead and say that this episode is always, as always, is brought to you over here. No, over here. Whew, let me move these things next to each other because that is obnoxious. Brought to you by Milky Way Wednesday, MilkyWayPhotographers.com. Take 2. This isn't live. This is brought to you by MilkyWayPhotographers.com. This site, guys, this is a new article today by Zeralda, who joins us here today. Zeralda is in the chat right there. Zeralda, it's been scrolled up, but Zeralda Lagrange joins us here, and she wrote, "Who owns the moon? Everyone and no one." So articles like this, dealing with space, dealing with our Milky Way and Milky Way photography, are all over MilkyWayPhotographers.com. Please, guys, check it out. If you guys seen in previous episodes, I feature video images from this gallery. So when you go into our member photos, you'll see all the galleries of those who have shared their images here, and it's actually dozens and dozens and dozens of galleries that have 10 or more images in there. So if you love Milky Way photography, this is definitely your destination. So I won't be featuring any Milky Way moment of envy today. I will not have that, but I have a working iPad, and I'm going to talk about my 5 favorite tips. So I'm going to go ahead and put the cam chat on so I can see your guys' chat, and I'll just keep it over here on the right so I can see your guys' stuff. Sound was off on Sean says sound was off. Okay, well, good. You can hear me even though you had nothing else. But Nathan G, hey man. I also want to say hi to Tilly Costa from Brazil. Hey, welcome for joining us. I just wish you could see me. You can hear me. It's like the podcast basically where you only hear me and don't see me. But I'm here. I could do, let's see, I can go ahead and pull up my own screen. I might as well try that just since you guys can have something. Let's go do a video capture device. Choose my FaceTime camera, and then you guys can see me. No, it's going to be bad quality. Forget it. Let's just get going on the tips. So, rolling in with the tips. If you guys have done Milky Way photography, you're going to see this. Just a quick reminder. You guys are going to see this tomorrow come out. Oh, there I am a little bit. And it is visible. Not visible. It's like it worked but delayed. So I don't know how much you guys saw or were able to see. But you saw me for a second sitting here at the computer. Hello. Quality is just not good enough for me to jump into that right now. But I think I may... The good news is that you guys are going to see, you guys are going to hear everything that you want to know for the tips. But before Aaron gets distracted any further, let's focus on the 5 tips. There is a link that will be added to this for a cheat sheet if you guys want to get a hold of this cheat sheet where it breaks down all my 5 right here. You can see them. Here's a foreshadowing, break the planes, balance negative and positive, weight on the left, shape from top to bottom, and framing the core. So we're going to break down each one of these, and I'm going to show you some image examples as well. And we're going to go through what is a cheat sheet that you guys can download. Just pay attention to the video to come out tomorrow. That download will be available there or on our Facebook page. I will post it on the Facebook page for Photog Adventures. Not the group, not the listener group, but the Facebook page. I'll post a link to this so that you guys can get access to it. But it's funny that my streaming status is bad when I have absolutely no video going through here. You would think that the streaming status would be fantastic when there's no video to try and send across. But either way, let's get rolling and start with our planes. What are planes? What am I referring to when I say planes? Why am I saying break the planes? Break the planes, break the planes. What on earth is that? You guys have heard me say it before. A lot of you have heard me say it many times, so I'll go around this quickly knowing that you have the cheat sheet, and I'm going to make sure I have the chat over on the right so I can comment. And here we go. The planes. If you look at the rule of thirds, you're going to see all the lines of the rule of thirds making the grid. And I'm pointing to the lines. Now, it's not just this line and this line. It's this line, this line, this line, this line. Any one of them are the planes. And so the planes, it simply indicates that you have taken an object and brought it higher up in the frame and made it very, very, very nice compared to what it could be very low. A good example would be an image that I may have the folder for to show you guys right here and not be too much of a delay. Aha, I have it. Let me pull it over and you guys can see this. So, you guys are seeing my break the plane example right here. Sorry for that. This is a good example, and this is a bad example. This is a bad example of breaking the plane. This is a bad example of breaking the plane. And I've used this example before because I like to show and clarify that this is an okay image, an underexposed image of the Milky Way, but an okay image of the Milky Way. I've got it on the third. Look at that. This foreground has some good context, but it's nowhere near as strong as where it could be. Why? What about it is missing that could be stronger? When you look at the image on my iPad, you can see that same night I captured this image. Same night, this image, I had my exposure up higher. My focus was a little off, but I had my exposure up higher. It's nicer, not just because the exposure is brighter, but because there's something that breaks the plane. if you guys go into your Milky Way photography and you break the planes, you cross it, you get close on a subject, you go ahead and bring something nice and big. I could have easily been over here and seen the silo in this section of the frame, but that would be nothing because it's only in the bottom third. The fact that it exits the bottom third and comes up into the middle third makes it so much stronger. Very completely stronger. So my first tip was to break the planes. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put my spreadsheet, my cheat sheet right next to it right here so you guys can see it clearly on the screen. Because since you don't see me, you can't see my wild hand movements, I want to give you guys something a little bit more. So here we go. Break the planes. Get a foreground subject to overlap one of the thirds. So the next one at the top of the screen, balance, negative, and positive. What is with this even black and even blue? What is with that balance? What would be the benefit of a balance? Well, when you're looking at your image, whether or not you've got 7 subjects, 2 subjects, you're going to have a balance between the positive space and the negative space. Let me explain that a little bit here. So imagine I have a Milky Way that is right here, 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 and going off camera. My Milky Way is going off camera, and I have a really cool subject of a hill that goes out, kind of peaks right here. A pathway leads out from it, and on the end of that pathway is a silhouetted Aaron King looking up at the Milky Way. Oh, fantastic. Look how cool that is. Well, look at my balance between my negative space and positive space. If I were to go through, we'll use some of these yellows. We'll use a bright yellow. Here is my negative space. On this side, negative space on this side. There's my negative space. Positive space, brown and brown. Positive space. That is not a good balance between positive space and negative space. Looking at the perspective of someone who just needs all the help in the world for composition, knowing that many different possible options can be nice looking. Well, if you want a quick trick to make your composition stronger, think about your positive and negative space. So then how do I fix my exact same composition without doing anything completely different, but start using up the space better? Well, what if I put my camera tripod, oh wait, I don't want that pen tool. What if I put my camera and tripod further up on this pathway and it went like this? And this pathway now is visible as it comes in front of me. And there's Aaron King standing on this pathway, loving in awe at the Milky Way. Loving that Milky Way, silhouetted, standing on the path. Where are my positive and negative space now? I mean, I could safely draw like this is my positive space all the way down here. And then the negative space is all these elements out here. That is more positive than negative, but in essence, we have negative, we have negative coming through here. We have negative in between the Milky Way. So we balance out strongly by just making the foreground subject more prominent. Well, what has happened? What has happened already? Let's look at my list. Break the planes, balance negative and positive. Oh, holy crud. My 2 examples already were, here's a subject that's right here in the bottom third, and then here's a subject that goes up and breaks the planes. You see how they almost all work together. I mean, you got something like balance the positive and negative. In doing so, you might end up doing the first tip of breaking the plane, going all the way up into this and having a character that covers over the bottom third here and the top third. By breaking that plane, I've used up the space better, and I have a composition that will work much more strong. I have an example that is actually on this screen in the background. Oh, I need to turn off this. Let's do this, but with no screen popping. Okay, good. Here we go. Looking at this, you can see an example of positive and negative space. The positive and negative space in this image, here's negative up here. I have positive, and pretty much you can consider all of the stuff underneath the Milky Way in this scenario, this kind of panorama. You can look at this as positive space. There's an interest point down here of positive space. There's even some interest right here and right here that's positive. And so you're dealing with sort of this outline out here that's negative. Let's see if I have a quick image of this so I can draw on it and make sense of the positive and negative space. Quick, not so far. Almost. Too much already written on it. Forget it. We'll go back in. So as you're looking at this image and you're thinking about positive and negative space potential, what is it that works? Well, when I'm cropping, basically, I'm capturing my image, I'm doing a panorama. My biggest goal is just to capture everything of the core, all the Milky Way, high enough above it so it looks good, and get my foreground nice and exposed so that I can piece these all together. Well, now I'm back at home, and that's where the composition almost really starts. In a panorama, there's composition to consider, but we're not going to go into that depth right now. Just the fact that in a panorama, I captured everything in front of me at 180 degrees in front of me. What can I make an image out of that when I get home? And I look at this and go, man, I need to keep this crop down below this space right here. Here's a positive element that if I cut in half might look weird. Let me not cut into that. Well, I can cut over here. How much on the right and left do I want to go? I wanted to keep these rocks down here on the bottom. Oh, you're not seeing that with my new screen. Sorry. The rocks over here, far over here. These rocks I wanted to keep in frame, and so I chose this much on the right of my core just so that I can keep this on the bottom of my frame. It was a nice interest point to continue the foreground. So because of that, I could have cropped here and ended, but then it wouldn't be good use of positive negative space. I need to balance out the negative space here with some more negative space to equal out the positive and negative, and boom, a little bit more gap here, bring these together. Now they're balanced. You got that little gap on both sides. It's almost about symmetry at this point too. When you look at it, you think, oh yeah, symmetry. Symmetry for sure. Well, let's look at, and I wish I didn't have to send you guys worrying with these slides, but let's look at our next element on the sheet. 3, weight on the left. Milky Way core on the right, foreground on the left. Honestly, if there's any tip out here that you could use immediately and have no problem using and just think and memorize, it's number 3, weight on the left. You want to have your subject of weight on the left of your image. Well, what does that actually end up meaning? Well, let's look at this. Well, so I've got my subject here, and it's obviously the Milky Way. I'm going to do a vertical Milky Way because that's a tougher one to work with. So I got a vertical Milky Way going. I put it on the right, weight on the left. Well, what's my subject? With any luck, you're going to have a rock structure that you can feature that has some weight, or you're going to have some trees that you can put in the foreground of your shot that will work together as some heavy weight, and putting them on the left and the Milky Way, open view of the Milky Way on the right. Or you're going to have something like, let's just do this square representing a man-made building. Put that on the left, Milky Way on the right. Anything with some weight, you're going to put that on the left versus the right. And that's going to be a quick way to make that work. Let me emphasize it here with my paragraph. Keeping the heavier and the larger part of the foreground shape to the left of the composition is going to balance out with the Milky Way core. So you've got this Milky Way core up here that is very interesting and heavy, but then you go up to the left and now you've got thinner, kind of more repetitive edge of the Milky Way. Let me show you over here. The thinner, more repetitive edge of the Milky Way. With this being thin and light, heavier object underneath here was good. In this image particular, I had a foreground subject that opened up to the distance, and the foreground in the close vicinity, the proximity of this foreground here makes it heavier than the proximity, than the weight of this distant foreground. This is further, this is closer, this one's a little bit more lighter than this, plus the color temperature, the color of the rock just really stands out, and it draws your eye far more than this, even though everyone's eyes go to the core and then see this cool dinosaur footprint in the ground. No, that's a giant canyon, but it does look like a dinosaur footprint. I can't get over saying that every time. So with weight on the left, you can have a quality subject. Let's see if I have a good example of that right here on my iPad. Weight on the left. So with this subject, I have my rocks. And these rocks in Goblin Valley, if I were to draw an outline around them and see how they travel across my composition, you'll see that I break the plane in two places. I have this rock down here that's more interesting than this background right there, so we'll just keep focused on that background. Let me show you a full screen of that. And I have this rock at this point above that third, and this rock above that third, and realistically this is just kind of getting on it. It's touching that third, it's not crossing it much, but the balance of this subject on the left is so much stronger than having this core being the only fat subject in the screen. So having that lima bean, that kidney bean of interest on the left to balance out the weight of the core on the right was so much stronger. And as I worked in this composition, it was just an obvious thing to put the big subject that would possibly even block my Milky Way core away from my Milky Way core. And so it can be instinctive to do this, but if you ever come in a situation where you're wondering, how do I best want to feature this? Remember, weight on the left, weight on the left. So now, number 4, shape from top to bottom. Man, this is a unique composition. This is a unique setup that you can go for. It really requires something that is going to be big enough to take the frame, or you're close enough to make it big enough to take the frame. For instance, this shape that I have right here is a mountain range, basically. And it's kind of looking at what you can do with some mountain range shapes in the distance and the foreground to draw your outline that goes above the third here and below and into the bottom third here and back up. That interest is interesting, and it carries from the top of your frame all the way to the bottom. And so as you're looking at this subject and how to work with it, it could be many things. It could be a couple trees and a tree line that you're bringing together. Or in this example that I have, it could be a train trestle. Oh, is it really not here? Oh yeah, I guess I am going to not be able to draw on it. I have to zoom in here for you guys to appreciate the train trestle. So let me go ahead and zoom in, and that's just about as big as it's going to allow me to get, isn't it? Okay, so this train trestle, the curving lines up here curl all the way down. With the fact that something's in the top going all the way to the bottom, it is motion, interest. It adds shape to your image. This image could be just this panorama right here, but with this shape going all the way up and then down, carrying into the same color background of this mountain right there, it just becomes an interesting shape that draws your eyes and moves it around the image. As you help your viewer travel from elements of your foreground to background of your image, you're going to have a stronger composition. It's going to be so much better as you do that versus going ahead and having just the Milky Way over something. Remember the example of bad that I showed you? Let me emphasize one of them here real quick. And I'm going to emphasize this one. This first one, it's a more vertical Milky Way to 45. I was stuck in Oregon. Well, okay, I shouldn't say it that way. I was stuck on the pathway to the Oregon coast, and I was stuck here with my last opportunity to capture a Milky Way before the moon was rising. This is Baker City. Really cool place. Loved the city from what I could see at midnight, but the moon was going to rise at 1. I needed to capture something quickly, and, you know, everywhere I went, I ran into no trespassing, places that ended up terminating with a gate, a fence, house. I couldn't get off this main road really without either waking up dogs that were barking at me or just not a safe or secure place I should travel because I would be trespassing and I'd be, ticking someone off. So I couldn't get close to the mountain. I couldn't get something great. I tried driving into this area where you've got a little bit of a gap right there. You can kind of see how the hill goes down. It started making a V shape, a chalice shape, and I was hoping to work with that with the Milky Way, but unfortunately the way that the terrain was, it was too high to see any of the core once I was that close and got the shape. So I took this example of a well-exposed Milky Way that should be terrific, can be seen as terrific. In fact, if I just go down to one very similar that is terrific, why is this terrific, but this one so boring? It's because you got that from top to bottom, there's nothing but the Milky Way. There's nothing else. Nothing else carrying the image. Only foreground element I have hangs out in the bottom third. It doesn't break the plane. It doesn't have good weight on the left versus the right. It's all even. There's just no difference between this foreground and this foreground. It doesn't have, what was the number 2? Oh, positive and negative space. Yeah, the positive space of Milky Way plus foreground is this boring shape. And while it may be balanced in some way, that this triangle here and this triangle here of negative space versus that, you could look at it that way as balanced, but you'd have to agree that this is positive space. Being that this is of no interest, how positive space is it? It's almost negative space to the interest of the Milky Way because there's just nothing here drawing the eye. There's nothing here of interest to spend any time on. So when you're thinking about top to bottom and you have an option like this train trestle, how do you make sure you use it? It required that I literally stood underneath it, shooting up with a wide angle lens to get this shape to happen. I had to use the distortion of my lens to make this shape happen. And that's something that you guys might find yourself doing in a situation when you're trying to get this kind of a composition set up, and you'll have to get closer. The trick is to get closer and make your subject big so that it travels from the top to the bottom. Last one, framing the core. Framing the core. I believe I have this image on my iPad. Let me go over to it. How do you work with framing? Framing is something that can be so cool, and you can basically dedicate your entire composition around doing it and making sure the Milky Way pops through a hole, in a window, between two rocks, between two very interesting trees. Maybe even between two light beams of city light pollution ponds. You got these two ponds of light in the distance from that light, that city, the light of this city, and now you're starting to see the Milky Way in between. So imagine that you have, and I'll use this, you have a light bloom here that's kind of spiking into the sky, and a light bloom out here that's kind of spiking and going into the sky and taking it. Let's say this one's even bigger, more population there, and this is the smaller city right there. And you've got some sort of terrain coming around in the background, and a Milky Way coming off in between. You can line and frame that Milky Way in between the subjects of this light pollution. You can line it up between many, many different opportunities out there. You just have to find something that works for you. You can even use photo pills to make sure that you know when that Milky Way core is going to be in that pathway. But how do you really make sure that it works out? How do you make sure that the whole composition is solid? And here's an example of framing gone wrong. What is it about this image that isn't as strong? Well, obviously the frame is so shallow. I'm not seeing the Milky Way core going through it like I would want to. And the same exact composition, I shouldn't say composition, the same exact settings on this, same exact night, moved over to this, as you've seen in the past already, is such a stronger image, as you have this line coming down through here, this shape there, and the Milky Way coming through. I believe I even have that on this grouping right here. I think I got it. No. Yeah, no. Nope. Come on. There. Okay. Looking at this picture in full frame, I want to talk about, oh, where did it end up going in full frame? It decided not to be visible. Come on, switch over. Let's open up this full screen with a preview and show you guys it now. I want to break this down to summarize all the 5 steps that we went through, as well as emphasize how framing is good, but it's going to need at least one other element involved. If you choose only just one other element, choose balance. Get the balance of positive and negative space. Look at this big opening here. As I look at this space, there's no core here. Core is all down inside the window frame. And inside this window, here's my positive space plus the interest of the light painted Owachomo bridge. That is positive space. It turns this shadowy, distant foreground stuff into negative space, and all these stars and the repetition, the repetitive side of the Milky Way as negative space. This is balanced almost half and half with that, almost perfectly. So balance can be something that you need to add in if you use framing. Just go with balance if nothing else. But I also had the benefit of being underneath the bridge to get this view. And let's just say it openly. Honestly, guys, I did not know this curve right here would show up like that. Top corner going all the way through the top third, then down through the middle third, and then into almost the bottom third and curving up. That's an interesting line that I didn't plan. I didn't make sure I had it on the tripod and look like this and go, okay, yep, that's perfect where I wanted. All I saw was where this core was showing up and how this line looked good, and I went, boom, I like the intersecting X, call it. And then I come home and see, wow, okay, this is a good example of from top to bottom. What about the very first thing I recommend? Break the plane, I already mentioned it. Good balance between negative and positive space, I already mentioned it. Okay, weight on the left. Weight on the left. Nope, there's no weight on the left in this one. The highest, heaviest part of the bridge is on the right, above the Milky Way core. So the Milky Way core down up here is all the weight of this image. There isn't a balancing out weight on the left side. Now, we have some weight on the left that helps complement the heavy weight on the right. In this case, a lesser weight and some light hitting the front of the rocks here is a good complement to carry this shape with the, in contrast to this shape over here on the right. So it doesn't really have it. So number 3 is not on there. 4 was to go from top to bottom a shape. And so just like breaking the thirds, this top to bottom shape did that, as well as an interesting shape that goes up and down. It really does carry the top right of the image all the way to the bottom left of the image perfectly with the Owachomo bridge. That's really cool looking stuff. And then the last one was, what was it? Oh, framing. Framing. This is the example of framing right here. This window. Framing the Milky Way between the subject. The framing. Boom. Nailed it. So here we go. Oh, Benjamin comments that, darn, that feeling, I know the feeling, darn private property. Apparently he's gone out to a location trying to get that awesome shot and been blocked by the gates and the houses. And the worst part, Ben, it wasn't just the gates that said, no, you can't drive past here, because I didn't know what I was missing out on. I had an interesting water feature that I thought would be fun, but I had it too close to a house, and the dog inside the house was barking at me. Saw me, noticed the car pull up through the window, and was barking. I thought maybe once I set my tripod up and it was just calm, didn't turn the lights on anymore, it would be good. No, it kept going. It kept going and going. And I'm feeling, if I keep doing this, if I haven't already, I'm going to wake up everyone in that house. And so I was like, I can't keep going here because this isn't fair to them. It's not their fault that I'm out here at 1 a.m. nearly. So yeah, that was another terrible part about the scenario. So guys, as I said, this is going to be a polished video tomorrow. You're going to see the polished quick hit tips plus me talking about them and mentioning everything in this cheat sheet. If you check it out tomorrow, you can find the link. I won't be able to give it to you right now. I got to set that up, but I'll give you the link so that you can download this cheat sheet and have with you along with your Moon Window of Opportunity cheat sheet. Hopefully you've already grabbed that as well. So I mentioned workshops. Those of you who are here for the composition tips, this is the end of the composition tips for right now, unless you come back tomorrow and catch what tips I give tomorrow as I explain them again, but possibly in different ways. And you can follow along with that video anytime with Photog Adventures YouTube channel. But those of you who are still here who want to hang out with me for a minute, I want to talk about the adventure that I'm going to have in New Zealand and talk about going out and doing Southern Hemisphere Milky Way. So if you follow PhotogAdventures.com or Photog Adventures podcast, the YouTube channel, you probably already know about it. I don't think actually YouTube I've said anything to you guys yet. So the podcast, I've mentioned it. First time here for Benjamin. Great stuff. Oh, awesome. You have joined Benjamin on one of the worst examples. Now, it's not one of my failure tech where things turn off and on in the middle. I've actually had worse scenario, but this isn't the best example of my content. So I'm glad you found me today, man. I'm stoked that you joined. Join back tomorrow and see a better production that you're going to get tonight. This is PhotogAdventures.com. You can click on workshops and go to our workshop page, or to MilkyWayPhotographers.com and click up here on Milky Way Workshops. Or if you're good with domain names, you remember workshops.photogadventures.com. Just go there and you will see my 2020 offerings for workshops. In fact, here's what I look like, Benjamin, if you don't know what I look like. Aaron King, right there. Glowing gold, looking in the light, smiling optimistically. All right, 2020 workshops. So I have sold out of the Escalante workshop. If you guys want to be in on that, in case there's anyone who has a surgery that has actually come up as a problem, surgeries that have caused people to miss out on workshops and we need to replace them, please jump on the wait list. Click this to email me directly at aaron@photogadventures.com and you're on the wait list. That's also true for the Crater Lake and Oregon Coast workshop. This workshop is not one spot left. It's sold out. So go ahead and email me directly if you wanted to join at that one for the wait list. We'll see if there's any opportunity for that, but most likely not. So, Nightscaper Conference, North Rim, sold out. Toadstool Hoodoo, I have one left. If you're going to the Nightscaper Conference on May of 2020 and you want to come out with me to the Toadstool Hoodoo on May 22nd, then sign up here, join me. And Salt Flats, this says 7 spots left, but realistically, if those 3 who have joined already are on the same night, then one night have 7 spots left. The 18th or the 19th. It's a one-night workshop, so you can come both, pay for it twice, or you can come once and just come on that. 18th of June would be Thursday night. 19th of June will be Friday night. And so if you want to come out to the Salt Flats and capture a Milky Way image like this, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to get this and to have the whole group there and for us to get a group shot underneath that with the light pollution in the distance silhouetting us. Oh, that's going to be awesome. So if you want to join me there, it's a nice affordable way to learn Milky Way photography and hang out with me in the Salt Flats for one night. Southern Utah Milky Way, we have 7 spots left there. That is go to Goblin Valley, go to Natural Bridges National Monument and capture this shot right here, as well as there's a hidden location. Let me just show it to you. I don't want to say the location because it's not popularized by name yet, and so I don't want to make it popular by name, but this unnamed overlook is really fantastic. Brad Goldpaint got a 2018 Astronomy Photographer of the Year with the Milky Way out at this location. So from Goblin Valley, we'll also go to Factory Butte, and we'll go to Unnamed Overlook, and go to Owachomo Bridge, and go to any bonus area on the 4th night. It might be our second chance at Goblin Valley because we loved it, or it might be our second chance at Goblin Valley because it got cloudy the night that we were there. So that's the Southern Utah, going lots of places. Really cool Milky Way workshop. And Faroe Islands, I'm going to be talking about this one from what we just went through. I'm going to be sharing that here later this week. I'll be live on the Facebook page for Photog Adventures. So if you guys go and click follow there and keep an eye on it. I'll be going live sharing all my time lapses from the Faroe Islands this year to show off the beauty of this place. I mean, it's the workshops, and so I'm still in charge of helping others get their shot. They get the best composition, they get this, but if I can, I set my tripod up and start a time lapse. And so I have a lot of time lapses coming from there to show the beauty of the light as it travels across this area. And Dringarnir, a little more difficult to get out there these days. This is sunset, and they will typically not let you be, they have to be guided out to Dringarnir. I'll explain that in the live video coming up. But here's what I really want to talk about. The TRAILBLAZER Adventures. Okay, so basically, who should come on these? People who are patient, people who are excited about trying something out, who maybe have ever watched a YouTube video of Aaron King going out with Brendan Porter thinking, I'd love to do that with them, despite the flat tires, despite the getting lost. I want to go out and have an adventure like that and go somewhere I've never been. Well, this is your chance. I'm going out to figure out a workshop locations all for New Zealand, Southern Island. And I'm going out to this location next August, and I'm allowing and wanting people to join me for it because it's going to be an awesome opportunity to make the most affordable Milky Way workshop there that I can offer you. The future workshops for New Zealand are going to just be more money, as it's not going to have this trailblazer connotation, this trailblazer first time there. And so if you trust me and want to enjoy that adventure and you want to come and be brave and intrepid, then join me this year on the most affordable version of the New Zealand Milky Way Workshop. And also with this, we're doing Milky Way plus a ton of landscape. So it's going to be very busy. Benjamin says he's going to stop by tomorrow. Awesome. Go out, get some shots if you're going to go out right now. That's fantastic. I hope I have clear skies soon too. So see you, Ben. Nice to meet you. And the Tarantula Nebula Sean M's talking about. Oh man, you have all that desert dark skies. I have a swamp. Yes, Sean's going to come out here and join me, and we're going to do some deep sky imaging, and that is going to be awesome. So back to this. If you look at this map that I have here, it's a good example of 1,200 kilometers that we're going to be driving, but we're going to have a lot of offshoots. But this is our main ring. Landing at Christchurch, flying into there, and going straight to Lake Tekapo. Lake Tekapo is where you have the good Church of the Good Shepherd. And so that's a cool place we obviously want to go. And then we have all this pathway in between us to go and see and hunt out cool photography, as well as get to the Wanaka tree out here in the Lake Wanaka. And then down to Queenstown, see the... Oh, I'm just so excited to be in the mountains in the winter with a Milky Way. That's going to be fantastic. Now, just to emphasize, August 17th through 24th next year is their winter. Now, it can be very light. I'm going to do an entire Facebook Live on this trip alone as well this week. And so you're going to see some YouTube videos that I found that show examples of it in July and August, where it gives you an idea, okay, that's what we can expect that time of year. And it's really, the drive is dry, but the hills and mountains are snowy. It just depends, obviously, on what's going on, how the weather's going. But we're going to travel all throughout this cool national park reserve area, with going into Tenanau, going into Fiordland National Park. We are not going to cut through here to Invercargill first. We will be driving up here to Fiordland National Park and seeing this. And so if you've ever wanted to see New Zealand, the Southern Island, come with me in August. This is going to be a lot of fun. And what happens with this, deposit that not a deposit, it's the entire price, $1,200. So with the $1,200 that you're throwing down, it's going to cover your rental, your vehicle rental, and the vehicle rental fuel. So basically, I will rent a vehicle, pay for the gas throughout the whole trip. I'm also going to cover, and I say it down here, travel conveniences like anyone who forgot a neck pillow, I'll buy one for you. Travel cutlery, paper towels, first aid supplies, snacks, cooler that we're going to use on the road, food like vegetables, fruit, jerky if you like meat, like I do, Gatorades, waters, Cliff Bars, etc. We're going to have all that stuff covered in the fee that you guys have put in for the workshop. So you're going to make sure that we have the vehicle, the Mercedes-Benz 8-passenger van that can fit all 6 of us in there with some space for bags, as well as having the fuel for the entire trip. So when you arrive, the only thing that you need to worry about are, 1, how am I going to fly there? what's the food I want to get. If I want to eat peanut butter sandwiches every day, then I'll eat peanut butter sandwiches every day and save a lot of money. If you want to have sushi with me and Rhonda, then have sushi with me and Rhonda. You want to go and have some awesome Turkish donors with me and Kathy, then yeah, go with me and Kathy and have Turkish donors. It just depends on what you want to spend. Lodging though, that's going to be easy. The Airbnbs that I found so far are typically around $300 a night, and with 7 of us, or is it 6 of us total because it's 5 others with me? I think it is just 5 others with me. Where do I say that? I say that on this page. Yeah, only 5 spots available. Okay, cool. So 6 total. We're splitting $300 a night fees, which is roughly about $50 per person. And we have awesome places that I found. If you click on this link, you'll see an example of a home that is going to be very comfortable, very, very perfect for our group. And here's some frequently asked questions and yada, yada, yada. So here's the Wanaka tree in case you didn't know what the Wanaka tree was. In order for us to capture the Milky Way from the Wanaka tree, look how it's facing south. Look at that. We're going to be on top of the tree in the water looking this way. No one in my group will touch this tree. This tree is going to be broken soon, and it might even be destroyed by the time we get there. But we're not going to touch it. We're not going to get in it. We're not going to do anything to it. We're just going to stand in the water, nearly waist deep depending on the time, and we will see the Milky Way overhead and capture it with the Wanaka tree. Or you can do it from the shore, panorama, capturing the Wanaka tree and going out to the core. Here's the Church of the Good Shepherd. Very famous, very typical. We just can't miss it. There's no reason to miss it. Here's a good example of how we'll be on this backside looking this way over here to where we can see the Milky Way as it's high in the sky at the beginning of the night and then goes and sets for us. You can see right here. You can see this this shape right there. That's when it's almost too low to capture. So we'll have anything from above, like vertically, completely above our heads, down to the horizon to capture and make a really cool panorama with the Milky Way in the southern hemisphere. And oh my gosh, I can't wait. I seriously cannot wait. And since you can't see me, I'm going to zoom in on me and say, I seriously cannot wait. Oy. So I have 5 people who can join me. This is $1,200 to help cover the vehicle and all the first aid stuff and some snack food and waters and all that. So if you ever would even begin to consider joining me for a workshop in New Zealand, then this is the one workshop you want to go for if you can deal with the trailblazing element of it. If you're okay with the adventure and the mystery of where the next night will be, then come. If you want an itinerary and you want everything really laid out, then come the following years, but it will cost more for those years. So just so you're aware, it will cost more for those ones. But this one, so fantastic. Can't wait to talk about it. Can't wait to find out what goes wrong on that trip. So I got to hang up with you guys. I'm sorry I've taken so long. I just been so excited about composition that I'm talking forever. Sean M is saying, that's nothing. I'm on this one as well. I wonder if he's saying about coming here for the New Zealand workshop. That'd be awesome, Sean. So you guys, thanks for joining me. Thanks for being all part of this. Milky Way Wednesday is typically not live, and I'm debating on doing it at least live once a month. But I don't know which week that would be, and so I couldn't be consistent enough. And so as I look at my 2020 calendar, I'm going to just, like the workshops, plan out specifically what I can commit to. You know what? And to end this video, why don't I actually turn on... Let's turn on an extra camera. Let's just use that poor quality FaceTime camera. Let's try it. Oh yeah, there I am. And lock that in. Cool. And I'll put it down at the bottom so it has a little bit of that underneath. Cool. So guys, I will be here tomorrow finishing up the recording and editing of that video that you guys saw the long version of. It's going to be a nice quick package, and you can also get access to that cheat sheet. So thanks for joining me. Thank you so much. I'm Aaron King with Photog Adventures, and where is it? There it is. Oh, I don't have me. I'm Aaron King with Photog Adventures, and let's come back to me. I'd love to have you join me on the podcast. Listen to the podcast every Wednesday. In fact, I still have to release that one tonight. Oh boy, today has been long. I have so many misadventures from the Faroe Islands to talk about. I can't wait to tell you those stories, so join me for that as I'll be talking its experience, the awesome adventures of Faroe Islands. So thanks, guys. Have a good night. Get out there for Milky Way. Get out there and have some fun. I'm excited to see you guys again. Sean M., what's on the table behind you? Yeah, Sean. That's Sean's picture. I was going to feature it, but I ended up having no camera. So I was going to feature it. Sean, I'll feature it on the video in the future. It won't make sense in tomorrow's quick version, but I will feature it. That is an awesome image from Sean where he has sent it to me because I love the deep sky images, and the color in this image is so cool. I should feature it on like a Monday Moment of Envy type feature. I should do it. I'll take a picture of it and go for it. Sean, send me a high-res version of that image that you printed, and I can do a Monday Moment of Envy and show it off because I love it. So thanks, man. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Enjoy Milky Way and keep checking out for more. Tomorrow, look for the full version of this video and for the link to the download of that cheat sheet. So sweet. Have a good one. Later, guys.